Hello guys, this is against another class review video. This time the last one in this series so far. And yeah, the next one will be probably like in June or something, because then the kineticist comes out. And right now, this is going to be just like my reading of Thaumaturge. Just as like info, I've played like two Thaumaturges, and none of them were like past like level. Where is it past like, oh yeah, level 5 I think, because I didn't get a single implement to adapt. But I do remember that with like one of these thaumaturges I got two implements, but none of them got to adapt. And I also made one to level 20 with Power Builder. So just remember, Charisma is your key ability score. Even though it seems weird, because Thaumaturge is a martial class, it's the main thing, and also 8 plus Constitution modifier. Also, just so you understand the whole process of this, the rules are clear. I basically just look through the normal details, then essentially just speed through the subclasses, and then give my recommendations to feats, equipment, and also spells. But this is a martial class, so no spells. And of course, you get Esoterica, which, yeah, just ability that have Esoterica require the possession of your Esoterica item. So, in order to use ability that has Esoterica trait, you need to have your Esoterica, aka one of your things. So, yeah. The very cool thing about Thaumaturge, though, is that you have cards and astrology, which yeah, which is very good. That it's actually really cool that it actually refers to the inspiration that we actually got it is just like the normal zodiac, and the Chinese normal zodiac is Cosmic Caravan, the Chinese zodiac is Dragon Empire zodiac, and the Harrow is Pharaoh cards. Pharaoh. You usually pronounce it Pharaoh, so yeah. And Thaumaturge starts off pretty good with expert in perception, fortitude, and will, but just trained in reflex. So already it starts like a bit better champion, and you get trained in arcana, nature, occultism, and religion. Just to it, you know? It's just like a huge thing. Also, trained in a number of additional skills equal to 3 plus your intelligence modifier. Weapons up to martial and armor up to medium. But remember, your main ability will be probably charisma, so still, you won't be all that strong, but you will be very good just by saying this. And the first thing that you get is esoteric lore, which, yeah, you get as trained in esoteric lore. A special lore that can be used to recall knowledge regarding haunts and curses and creatures of any type, but that can't be used to recall knowledge on other topics. Unlike normal lore skill, you use charisma for esoteric lore and gain dubious knowledge skill feat. Which, yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, also, it just automatically stacks with you. So, yeah, already B is a lore skill. So, just remember, this is for lore skills. If the lore skill is unspecific, aka just related to the topic, overall, then the DC is still lower by 2 to actually do this. And if the DC is specifically about something like this, then the DC is lowered by 5. So it's already like great. Of course, first implement. So implement is like a special object, aka just like your subclass. And yeah, you have like a bunch of subclasses, and you can pick 3 of them in any order you want, and also upgrade like one of them to be like Paragon, aka just like pick implement. The second one to be like just an adept implement, and have like the third be just like a normal implement. Also, you gain ability as called exploit vulnerability. So essentially, you retrieve an object esoterica. That's appropriate. And okay, select a creature. See, attempt esoteric lore check against the standard DC for its level. As you retrieve against the standard DC, but remember, since it's a lore skill, it will be probably lowered also. But I don't know if this is in rules or is this specifically just normal standard DC. As you retrieve the object from your esoterica and use implement to empower it, you gain the following effects until you exploit vulnerabilities again. Critical success. You remember the creature's weakness. As you empower the esoterica and flash insight. Okay. You learn all the creature's resistances, weaknesses, immunities, including the amounts of resistances, weaknesses, any usual vulnerabilities, such as spells pass through, like golems. Oh Jesus! Just like golems anti-magic, you can exploit another creature's mortal weakness or personal antithesis. Your unarmed weapon strikes also become magical if they weren't already. As success is learning its highest weakness, but none of its other weaknesses resistances. You can either exploit mortal weakness, personal weakness, or antithesis. And stuff like this. So yeah, just remember that, but then you can just choose to exploit it. So mortal weakness, after identifying the creature's weakness, your unarmed weapon strikes activate the highest weakness you discovered with exploit vulnerability, even through damage type your weapon deals doesn't. Even though the damage type your weapon deals doesn't change. So yeah, that's kind of weird. Cool. This damage affects the targets of vulnerability as well as any other creatures of the exact same type, but not other creatures with the same weaknesses. For example, when fighting a pack of werewolves, you might use silver shavings or crushed moonstone to deal damage that applies their weaknesses to silver to your attacks against any werewolves. But you don't apply this damage to any monster with a weakness to silver. Personal antithesis. You improvise a custom weakness on a creature by forcefully presenting an empowering piece of esoterica that repels it on an individual level. For instance, against a tyrant you might procure a broken chain. I think that's how it's pronounced. Sorry, I'm dyslexic. A broken chain that once held a captive. This causes the creature and only the creature to gain weakness against your unarmed weapon strikes equal to 2 plus half your level. which yeah later you'll be even able to like share the weaknesses that you impose on enemies, which yeah will be pretty good. Yeah, and I think that still with like most enemies have like weakness equal to half their level, so like personal antithesis will be still like a great thing. Also implements empowerment, so when you strike, you can trade mystic patterns with an implement you're holding to empower a strike, causing it to deal extra additional damage, 2 damage per weapon damage die. Channeling the power requires full use of your hands. You don't gain benefit from your implement's empowerment if you're holding anything in in either hand other than single-handed weapon, other implements, or esoterica. And you must be holding at least one implement to gain the benefit. Now, now later, lightning reflexes, of course, expert at reflexes at level 3, and also then at level 5, you get your second implement, aka your second class subclass, and also expert at weapons. Then implement adept at level 7, which will just boost your implement to adept to give it adept benefit, and also resolve that. Yeah, master at will saves, and when you roll a critical success, and if you roll a success, you get a critical success. And weapon specialization, aka just extra damage. Now, intensify vulnerability is a single action thing that you can use once per round. You present your implement and esoterica again, intensifying their effects on the target in a way unique to your implement. You gain the intensified vulnerability benefit from one of your implements you're holding, which lasts until the beginning of your next turn. And just remember, pretty much all of these things from implements just work on your target of the intensify vulnerability, exploit vulnerability. Now, Thaumaturge expertise, expert as like the class, and also you gain additional skill increase that you can use on one of these skills. Also, 9th level, also master at perception. Also, 11th level, um, expert at medium and light armor, and also a second adept upgrade. And then at 13th level, you get greater resolve, aka legendary at will saves, and when you crit fail, then you just fail, and if you fail, then you take half damage from failure. And weapon mastery, master at weapons, greater weapon specialization, even more extra damage, juggernaut, master at fortitude, and also crit success instead of a normal success. And third implement, you know what that means, at level 15, and implement paragon, which you've unlocked the last secrets of an implement. Choose one of your implements that already gained the adept benefit. You gain the paragon benefit of that implement, aka you're like third best upgrade, third thing that is the best upgrade. And Thaumaturgic mystery, so yeah, again, class DC upgrade and additional skill increase that you can apply to any of these skills. And also medium armor mastery, which yeah, armor at medium armor, master at medium armor, and also light. And unlimited esoterica, which you can exploit vulnerability or intensify as a free action rather than a single action, though still with a frequency of once per round. Okay, that was a lot, and it took us like 14 minutes. It was a lot, and we're not even in like subclass section. Okay. Okay, amulet. If you wanna be a wannabe champion, this is for you. If target of your exploit vulnerability would damage your ally, you can give that ally resistance against all of the triggering damage equal to 2 plus your level, your whole level. So just like champion. Adapt the benefit, then you can the ally can choose one type of damage that by the trigger rank attack and gains resistance 5 until the start of your next turn. At 15th level, it increases to 10, and Intensify Vulnerability works in a way that you gain +2 bonus to AC and to saves against the target of your exploded vulnerability. In Paragon benefit, so yeah, when you use your reaction, you target yourself and all allies within 15 feet. Each target gains both initial resistance against the triggering damage and lingering resistance from your amulet's adept benefit. The allies gain the lingering resistance even if they would not have taken any initial triggering damage. If the foe deals damage multiple times, each target can separately choose the damage type to gain lingering resistance. That was fast. And now Bell, to interrupt your enemies. So essentially, you can either... So, enemy needs... The target of your explode vulnerability within like 30 feet. If it's trying to like cast a spell that affects like you or one of your allies, then you can either distract or attack one of your allies. You can either distract the enemy, making it succeed a fortitude save, or be stupefied. Which yeah, is pretty good because like not all of the spellcasters have great fortitude saves, so that makes it really good. And become stupefied 1, aka -1 until the end of your next turn. Or stupefied 2 on a critical failure. But it doesn't need to attempt the flat check, but it's still fair because it's fortitude. And then the enemy needs to succeed a will save against your class DC or become enfeebled or clumsy 1 until the next of your next turn. Enfeebled 2 or clumsy 2 on a critical failure. Now, other benefit makes it last for 3 rounds instead of 1 round. Intensify vulnerability, which yeah, most of the time this will be how much the entire combat will last unless it's like a boss fight or something. And then intensify vulnerability. Oh yeah, when you successfully strike the target of your explode vulnerability, your bell implements plays a hunting tone, and a creature takes -2 penalty to saves against your ring bell for 1 round, or -3 penalty if it was a critical hit, which yeah, it's very big. This effect has the auditory emotion and mental traits. And Paragon benefit, which all conditional values increase to 2 or 3 on a critical failure. So yeah, that's big. That's really big actually. Ring bell can trigger of strike or spell of any enemy, not just the target of your explode vulnerability. However, in that case, conditionalize only until the start of your next turn. Yeah. Now, because you have a lot of them, then Chalice is the healing one. You or your allies can sip to gain 2 plus half your level of temporary hit points, or regain 3 hit points per level, that per your Thaumaturge level. And then, if 10 minutes pass without any... And that's 1 per... And you can actually make anyone actually drain the chalice once per 10 minutes. And also it works even And also it works even on negative creatures for healing. On both positive and negative creatures for healing. So that's really good. And other benefits, so yeah, now you increase the temporary hit points essentially by your charisma modifier, and then the chalice heals the creature for 5 hit points per each level. So that's additional 2 hit points per level. That's pretty good. And intensify vulnerability. Add additional half. Over here, you would add additional half your level to temporary hit points. Wait. If you succeed at a strike against the target of your explosive vulnerability, you increase the effect if someone drinks from the chalice until the end of that turn by half your level of temporary HP. If it's a sip, or add your level to the HP regained if the drinker drains the chalice. Now, Paragon benefit makes it so you can reduce the drinkers, like any of the stat lowering and also stand condition by 1. In addition, the chalice attempts to counteract all poisons, diseases, and curses affecting the drinker using half your level rounded up as the counteract level and your class DC minus 10 as the counteract modifier. If the chalice fails to counteract the even drinker, it can attempt to counteract until midnight. Lantern, this one ain't all that good, but it has a lot of text. So it's even worse. So yeah, look at the light with concentrate trait. Which is bright line. The lantern shines brightly within like 20 feet. Dim light 20 feet further. This has evocation, light, and magical traits. The counteract level against magical darkness is equal to half your level rounded up. The lantern's magical light attempts to reveal the unseen. You and your allies in the lantern's area get +1 to perception checks to notice anything with the bright light. And +1 status bonus to checks to recall knowledge against the creature within it, as the light exposes its true natures. So yeah, even if you aren't searching for the hazards, the GM rolls each time GM rolls a given hazard or secret comes within 20 feet. So yeah, if the hazard is within 20 feet, the GM rolls a secret roll. Yeah, sorry, I'm kind of sick, so that's why I cough. So yeah, bright light increases to 30 feet, dim light increases to like 30 feet further, and invisible and ethereal creatures become visible, but they're still concealed. This doesn't give you any special ability to affect the creature on an inferior plane or anything, but it allows you to see them still. Intensify, so as you can see, it's not really good. Intensify vulnerability, it's like just like exploit vulnerability. Any benefit increase to +2, the creature takes -2 penalty to deception check and stealth checks as long as it's within the lantern's light, so it can be good for interrogation, just better interrogator, investigator. The creature can't be concealed while it's in the lantern's light, though it can potentially become hidden or undetected using cover. It means other than the concealed condition. In addition to all the other benefits, your lantern reveals things how they truly are. The bright light increases to 40 for the increase. When you the secret roll to counteract any illusion or transmutation check that comes within the largest light, but only for the purpose of determining whether you and others can see through it. For instance, if the check succeeds against a polymorph spell, you can see the creature's true form, but it doesn't end the spell. You have your level rounded up as a, of course, like the same counteract thing. As you can see, Lantern is not really all that good. Mm. And it stole some of our time. Now Mirror, it's pretty good. You can essentially spawn a reflection within 15 feet of you, and you can use it to provide flanking for yourself. And also, whenever you take an action, the mirror takes the same action, just like you. So yeah, for example, if you make a melee strike against the creature within the reach of reflection, you'd mime the actions of the strike. Yeah, the reflection would actually make the strike. Anything that the targets would affect reflection uses your statistics. Something that would target or affect both you or your allies at once, for example, fireball, that is included both of you in this area, would require only one save from you and damage you no more than once. When you move, you choose which square to move from, but the mirror effect and see below. So yeah, this automatically happens. Some events force you to determine which image is the real you, and then end the effect and cause your mirror self to disappear. This happens automatically at the start of your next turn. It would also happens if you choose to move out of your spell space. Other benefits of this implement add more elements that can end the reflection. The effect also ends when you fall unconscious. So yeah, your implement would be really good if you took, for example, like a fighter dedication, and then take a power attack with this. This would be really good with that. Or also a double sword. I mean power attack mostly because you still need to hold your mirror implement, you know? So for example, if you have like a long sword maybe, or something like this, then you can just like hit with a long sword with a power attack and deal a lot of damage with that. Adept benefits, so yeah. While mirror's reflection is effect, a version of you exposed into mirror shards. Version of you establishing the remaining version of you as the real one, and deals slashing damage to all creatures within 5 foot emanation from your mirror self. The damage is equal to 2 plus half your level to the damage of the triggering attack, whichever is lower. You're immune to the damage. But okay, now I'm starting to think that it can be used actually because I don't know if it's just me being dumb. Okay, I don't know if this is just me being dumb, but if you place a reflection, for example, of on a roof that is 15 feet away from you, then can you just decide that version that is standing on the ground is the fake you and you're actually the one where the mirror is? This would be like pretty weird. Okay, so test of my vulnerability. Reinforcing your mirror lets it play tricks on your enemy senses as that. You become concealed to the target of your exploit vulnerability as your mirror warps its perceptions. As normal, your concealment where your overall location still remains obvious. You can use this concealment to hide or sneak. Okay, then Paragon benefit, you become skilled at reflecting yourself right away. When you use mirror reflection, you can have one of yourselves immediately interact, seek, or strike. Okay, okay. We're finished with the mirror, which is kind of confusing, but it's cool. And now Regalia, aka your diplomacy tool. So yeah, +1 circumstance bonus to deception, diplomacy, and imitation checks, like all of them. Allies who can see you can follow an expert to follow you even if you're only trained and not an expert. Due to competence and clear exude. When you do, the circumstance bonus they gain from following an expert is +1. When you are hiding your regalia, you gain an aspiring aura that stokes the courage in you and your allies within 5 foot elimination, which is +1 to saving throw against few effects. And if someone is frightened, then reduce it by 1. Okay, so what the benefit? So the item bonus. So yeah, the bonus to charisma is +2. Now you can +2 circumstance bonus if you're already trained. Yeah, others that follow expert gain +2 circumstance bonus if you're trained, +3 if you're expert, and +4 if you're master or legendary. The courage. So yeah, just +1 saving throw against all mental effects, and they gain +2 bonus to damage rolls, and at 11th level this increases to +3 to damage rolls, and 17th level increases to +4 to damage rolls. Now when you intensify vulnerability, so whenever you successfully strike a target of your explosive vulnerability once again, so choose an ally and that one gets +1 circumstance bonus against the creature until the beginning of your next turn. If the attack roll was a critical hit, the circumstance bonus increases to 2. Now Paragon benefits, so it doesn't it doesn't increase your circumstance bonus to diplomacy and stuff like this, but if you roll a critical failure to make an impression or request, you get a failure instead. When the other foil you grant them +4, +3 if you're trained, and +4 if you're expert or above. Allies in your expiring aura are not flat-footed by being flanked unless you yourself are flanked. If one of your allies is clumsy, enfeebled, frightened, sickened, or stupefied, the status penalty from your ally's condition, the status penalty your ally takes from the condition is 1. Yeah, lower than the condition's value. Now, we get a tome that is not all that great. So it gives you +1 to recall knowledge, and it gives you essentially two skills. At your daily preparations, you can choose 2 skills to be trained at. At 3rd level, you get expert at one of them. At 5th level, you're expert at both of them. At adept benefit, so essentially, while holding the tome on each round, um, at the start of each round, attempt a recall knowledge of the creature of your choice, observing, and you gain +1 circumstance bonus to the attack roll against the creature at the beginning of your next turn. I don't know if this is that you can just as a free action attempt it, or you just forced to waste your action, but you should speak to your GM about this. When you gain temporary skill proficiencies during daily preparation, one is at expert proficiency and other is at master, and at 9th level both of them are master and intensify vulnerability. So a d20 and set result aside. At any time you start this, you can use this d20 result you set aside for an attack roll to strike the target creature of your exploit vulnerability instead of rolling a new d20. And also, Paragon benefit gives you the fact that now while holding the tome, you can always roll a skill check for initiative against creatures or hands using esoteric lore. If you do, you gain +3 circumstance bonus to the initiative roll, which is pretty good. And the innate benefit circumstance bonus to recall knowledge from holding the tome is increased to +2. So yeah, if you succeed recall knowledge as a benefit, the bonus applied to all attack rolls and you make before the start of your next turn, not just your next one. Lastly, when you gain temporary skill proficiencies, both of them are legendary, which is it's pretty good. Now we just have wand and the weapon. Now with wand you can use the fling magic thing. Which you fling magical energy to a target within 60 feet, dealing 1d4 plus charisma modifier with that. On a reflex save, it's not really a mage thing completely, but it still allows you to essentially give a counter effect. And also it just like country it's just like it's just like electric arc, but it targets one creature essentially. But you can choose what kind of damage you want to take. Okay, between cold, electricity or fire. Uh, Also, you can make it so it deals d6s instead of d4s, but then it needs 1d4 rounds to recharge. Yeah. If you critically hit with a strike, the one recharges just immediately. But it's unlikely because, you're not a fighter. So, but if you're with a wand or something like this, better just hold some sort of, I don't know, a slight pistol in one hand and the wand in the other, and just have this slight pistol just hit weaker enemies or something like this. Or maybe a repeating hand crossbow if you get your hands on the proficiency for it, but it's kind of unlikely. Now other benefit of course is you can okay, now you can select second damage type, and you can select between either of the two. And on a failure, the target can take -10 penalty if it's cold damage, or be flat-footed until the end of your next turn if it's electricity, and you can either deal or the enemy can take persistent fire damage. which, yeah, it doesn't specify the time over here, so yeah, it's probably just for 1 minute. 1 minute okay turnarounds. Intensify vulnerability, and I don't mean just as, oh, that's little. I mean, just because it's not like some sort of like special infinite, you know, because if there's no duration, some people interpret it as being infinite. I've seen like people who interpret, if there's no duration pointed out, they interpret it as infinite. But actually, it types, it's in the rules where it says that if there's no duration, then it's probably 1 minute. But up to the GM's discretion. So if your GM rules differently, then I'm not going to like stop your GM. It's just like I'm not going to debate your GM, and I'm not going to stop your GM. It's like just a matter of preference, okay? And now intensify vulnerability. So when you fling magic at the target, you deal additional damage equal to 1 plus the number of the damage dice. Which, yeah, later will be like plus 11 damage. And now, Paragon benefit. Yeah, you gain the ability to choose between all 3 damage types. So yeah, that's pretty okay. And when you fling and also it's 180 feet, which, yeah, is pretty good. It's pretty good. Wait. Like, oh yeah, okay. Even though like already 60 feet is pretty good, like sniper rifles already have like 60 feet of range. So yeah, that's really good. You can choose to target a single creature or affect all creatures within a 20-foot burst. Which right now, yeah, right now it becomes really good, really good. Oh yeah, and also you have like a feed that I get. And yeah, over here, implement interruption is essentially just attack opportunity against the implement's target, and yeah, also adapt benefit. So yeah, when you use implements interruption but and fail. Oh yeah, and also from what I remember, this weapon can be any weapon, and at level 5 you get the critical specialization, so it's pretty good. So yeah, it will be really good. If you fail, but don't critically fail with a strike, you deal one additional damage of the weapon's damage, weapon's normal type, possibly applying the bonus, any bonus damage to the target's weaknesses. Now intensify vulnerability. Your weapon is drawn to your enemy's vital spots to its own accord. You gain +2 status bonus to attack rolls against the target's exploit vulnerability. Which, yeah, it's really good. It's really good. And now, because right now you can actually like crit a lot, so it will be really good with any other implement powered up. And way of your implements connects to your foe makes it interruption incredibly disruptive. Now you disrupt the triggering action on a hit with implements interruption rather than needing a critical hit. And yeah, also over here I will give you like my item recommendations, because right now if you want this, then you probably want to pick something like a longsword, or you want to pick something like a slide pistol. That's the most important thing about equipment. And if you're trying to go for like a melee Thaumaturge with strength based, because you already need charisma, then probably take Sentinel Dedication because heavy armor with bulwark trait will essentially make it so that your saving throws, your reflex saving throws will be a bit better. Will catch up. And now also for Thaumaturge feats, yeah, this is actually going way faster than I actually thought. I thought that it would be an hour by this time. So over here, yeah, ammunition Thaumaturge will be pretty good for like any bows and stuff like this. Because right now you will be actually able to shoot a bow, especially if the bow is, for example, like your weapon that you chose. And yeah, one more activation is pretty good also. Like, if you look at like at Thaumaturge, yeah, Thaumaturge is all Thaumaturge's feats are pretty good, but the most important one is I think like uh, yeah, I can't find this one that just doubles the amount of your targets, but this one seems like really. But this one seems like really messed up. So, to the opposing divine objects such as religious symbols to deities that are hated enemies, and then combine them to this display that causes a discordant clashes of divine energy that are especially distracting to the faithful. Roll your choice of deception or intimidation against the will DC of a creature you can see within 60 feet. With the following results, if a creature particularly devoted to a deity, such as cleric, celestial monitor, or fiend, or any creature with divine spells, you gain +2 circumstance bonus to that skill check. The GM may determine. Because it says the creature is faithful that in the end of your next turn. This creature. Yeah, this one is like psychological torture to clerics. This one is just like psychological torture to clerics and celestials. Yeah. Yeah, but pretty much every feat for Thaumaturge will be pretty good. So just go with what like your implements help you. For like what your implements suggest, because all of them just, for example, like you're going for a weapon, Thaumaturge, but you also want to use, for example, like a different thing, like a mirror Thaumaturge, for example, like a mirror implement or a child's implement, for example, or maybe an amulet implement, just in case. Then yeah, you probably should take ammunition Thaumaturge, so you can like take the bow in one hand, then take take the weapon implement that is a bow in one hand, then take the other thing in the second hand and also be able to like reload the bow and shoot the bow while also having the amulet to protect your allies additionally. This one is really good, in my opinion. Oh yeah, twin weaknesses. That's the one that I wanted to say that is pretty important. Twin weaknesses. This one is very good, and also I'm not sure if this is saying like you hold an implement and a weapon, Can it be just like the weapon implement? You should ask your GM about this. So yeah, that's my recommendations, and also for armor, like probably at the very start, like some sort of like height armor would be good. Like maybe like if you don't want to like waste time, then probably maybe chainmail will be pretty good. Also, but just remember, sentinel dedication will be really important for that. And later remember, even if you like try to put a lot of points into strength, to like have no minuses like at level 5, then at level 10 you can just like, when you still have like 16 strength at level 10, you'll still have like 18, even if you change your statistic, because at level 10 you will be able to probably like retrain your statistic to put that 1 point from strength into wisdom to have like the good looking stats that won't like get messed up at the end. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. And also thank you for like the whole Cargouide thing, for like watching my whole Cargouide thing. Like later I will like record more videos. So yeah, bye guys. I guess it feels weird doing the last class and not knowing and not like thinking ahead. Okay, what thing I would like give to this class. It's really weird just like saying, oh yeah, that's the end. Now I need to wait for the kineticist. It's kind of weird, but true nonetheless.